So what time did you get here this morning?
4.
Is that typical?
Here in the next week or so, it'll probably be more like 5. But basically, whenever the work needs to get done is when we get here. Well, I'm not really a morning person. Kind of a zombie for several hours. But I've gotten pretty used to it. It's pretty regular in the wine industry is that you get out and you get going. And so today we're going to pull the clean juice off the lees and put them into tanks getting ready to ferment. And the thing with doing that is you have to play a little game called tank chess. You have to figure out what fits where. So I'm just trying to make everything fit so that once I write this work order, the guys in the cellar kind of know what I want them to do. And I will actually make some coffee, and then we can go and check on the harvesters.
When I'm running the machine, if I want to start like everything, like beacon head, bells, fans, the steamers, rollers, I just push the A and everything's gonna turn on.
Well, our harvesters typically start harvest at like this time of the year when it's still getting pretty hot in the middle of the day. We start harvest around 8 p.m. There are beaters that hit the trunks at the bottom and shake the vines. You saw like shaking, and that drops the fruit onto some belts that bring it up to where you guys were riding. And then it goes over some rollers, which kind of kicks out all of your stems and sticks and leaves. It was dumped into, we call them tubs, and then the tub is just going to go and dump it into one of the large gondolas on our trucks. Ooh la la! This is the best part of harvest right here. Early in the morning doesn't bother me that much anymore, and you get to see the sunrise, and that's pretty fantastic almost every day. We are setting the truck so that we can dump into our receiving hopper, and then we're gonna shoot it right into one of these presses behind me and press it to a tank. When the fruit comes in, I want to smell it. It should smell nice and fruity. That's really all we're looking for. Occasionally, we will look for like discoloration or extra stuff that comes in, but with the harvesters we use, we really don't have a lot of mog or materials other than grapes. It smells good to me.
And that's what you're looking for, right? Good smell.
Yes. Good, clean, fruity smells. Wine glass. And I gotta go and get our fancy equipment from the lab. So this is a densiometer that checks our Brix for us, which is how we measure sugar. And I check every morning. Right now I only have one tank that's fermenting, so. This tank is kind of a mishmash of stuff at this point, but it has been fermenting since the 1st of September. So we want to check the sugar levels to make sure that it's decreasing at a nice pace. If it goes too fast, there might be a problem. If it goes too slow, there might be a problem. And if it smells funny, there might be a problem. It looks like we're at 9.6 Brix. We started at 21. So we're going down at a pretty good rate. It started out a little slow, but it's happy and the smells pretty good still. It's not putting off any off flavors or aromas.
When do you think this will be ready?
Let's see, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Give it another week. I like to go to the top and make sure you can kind of see how fast the ferment or how healthy the ferment is running by the activity at the top of the tank. Also, it's just awesome to come up to the top of the world. Hey, just FYI, your K10 is overly excited and bubbling down onto the ground. Okay, it's not too bad. All right, bye. careful. This is my 10th year in the wine industry, and I don't know if I will ever stop doing that, sticking my nose in the CO2 really bad. I don't know if I could pick a favorite time of day, and every day is so different throughout the year, so most days are pretty awesome all the way through. Right now I'm about to go get some maturity samples. A lot of what I'm going to look at today is look at some of the reds that we're going to bring in for rosés, because some reds and some whites for still wine should be coming in pretty soon. We pull about 20 clusters per block and we mush them up and we run analysis on, we run pH, TA, and Brix on every block, and that kind of gives us an idea of when we want to bring them in and when we want to hold off a little bit. So he is going to run a pH, a TA, and a Brix on each one of the samples that we pulled earlier. What we do, he's going to give me his results, and then I'm going to email them out to all the winemakers and viticulturists that are involved in making picking decisions. And then we enter them into a program that the whole company can see that keeps a backlog for several years. So you can start to see patterns from certain blocks, or maybe like certain patterns that develop certain varieties, certain weather patterns. So this is the pH meter. We definitely want below 4 and above 3. With whites, we want it to be a little bit closer to 3, like 3.2. For reds, it can be a little bit higher. Once it ferments, the pH is going to raise just a touch.
So what's this process here?
This is titration. He starts this base solution out with, what, 8.2 pH?
Yeah, I would say 8.23.
And once he adds the wine, what he's trying to do is bring it back to 8.2, and then he's going to read how much sodium hydroxide brought him to that point, and that'll give him his final. Well, there's some math involved. That's pretty close to what we're going to want. It's a little low on the TA side, but it's only going to get lower as time goes on. We want a little bit higher Brix than that, but it's a white wine, so we don't need it to be too much higher. The rest of these numbers are pretty low, even for rosés, so they'll be several weeks. These are the juice from the maturity samples that we pulled earlier in the vineyard. And I'm just going to taste through. This is Cinsault. The Brix on this one was pretty low, so all of these definitely need more time, but doing good. What I'm tasting in this is something maybe like a light fleshed plum, but just really barely there. It's like a really super delicate flavor. Basically, your ability to, when you taste and like you find these flavors in wine, is just you use the words when they pop in your head, and it kind of just over time you eventually make that connection every time you taste it or every time you smell it. Oh, rhubarb. Which means it's like on its way, but it's not there yet. And that's about it. Maybe a little cherry in the background, but rhubarb. That needs a couple more weeks.